it's Mark Furman and Brent Furdyk.
Great to be here again,
Brent.
Mark.
We are coming to you from the TCA, Television Critics Association Winter Press Tour from Pasadena, California. Now, technically it's Friday.
Yes.
We're going to pretend it's Monday.
Okay.
Okay? We hope everybody had a nice weekend. We have to talk about, we can talk about what we want, but I think we really have to talk about, we went to an event last night, which was Thursday night, hosted by Warner Brothers, studio set visits to Two and a Half Men, The Big Bang Theory, Mom, and what's the fourth one? Mike and Molly. Mike and Molly. Sure. I thought it was one of the most, the best things I've ever been to.
Certainly for me, the highlight of the tour. They called it An Evening with Chuck Lorre.
Right.
So, 4 Chuck Lorre sitcoms all on TV. But the real hook, I guess, was because Two and a Half Men is going to be ending next month. They had a big party in the Two and a Half Men studios, and they dedicated a plaque to the soundstage, and they're going to call that the Two and a Half Men studio from now on.
But how amazing. We went to one of the first part of the event, it was like a 4-tier thing. We were at a panel in this auditorium, and there were 17 stars from the 4 sitcoms, including all 7 of the Big Bang Theory.
Right.
You had Billy Gardell and Melissa McCarthy from Mike and Molly. Yep. You had Allison Janney and Anna Faris from Mom. And you had 4 of the stars from Two and a Half Men.
Ashton Kutcher, John Cryer.
Right. Conchata Farrell and Holland Taylor. That's 17.
And what an array of talent. And all the producers from all the various shows. I mean, it was, I don't know how many people were on that stage, but that was a lot of people.
Incredible. But
and it was a fantastic session.
Incredible. But you know what's interesting? We talked about this briefly. Back in the old days when Norman Lear, who was the king of the sitcoms. Now, I think in his heyday, he had 7 different shows on the air at the same time. But back then, there was stunting. You'd have one character going to another show and this and that. The Chuck Lorre sitcoms, they're standalone. You're not going to see Mike and Molly knocking on Sheldon's door.
Right.
You're not going to see, it's just not going to happen. And neither of those shows have spun off anything.
Right. And we were talking about this before. None of them are spin-offs.
Right.
Which is kind of unique in the television realm.
Yeah.
When you look at, 3 NCISs and God knows how many CSIs.
Right.
It's pretty amazing that's what Chuck Lorre has managed to do so successfully.
It's amazing. Now, let me ask you a question. Of the 4 shows, if there was one character of all 4 shows that you think would be the most worthy of spinning off, what do you think it would be? Without hurting that show.
Oh, boy. Wow. That's a really tough question, Mark. I would think, for me personally, I'd like to see Raj and Howard from Big Bang Theory.
Like an odd couple. We're doing a new
sort of like a Lenny and Squiggy type thing,
What about Howard's wife? They divorced?
That'll have to not work out. Yeah, they'll have to get some sort of separation there, and maybe they open like a comic book store together. Or so, who knows?
See, to me, the most typical, the most logical progression after the Big Bang Theory ends, and let's assume it's now in its 7th season. It's renewed for another 2 years after this. It'll probably go on past that. But let's say one of these days it has to end. I think the most logical transition is Sheldon and Amy finally go all the way, because you can't have them go all the way because it'll be like moonlighting. The show, forget it. So they finally do the deed, so to speak, and they spin off into their own show. They get married and go off somewhere with a whole new character, right?
And then they have several socially maladjusted children.
That's your spinoff. That's a spinoff. I mean, we're series creators, Sheldon and Amy. We'll call it, Sheldon and Amy. That's the name of the show.
Sheldon kind of likes Amy.
Well, here, it's getting a little close because those 2 are now starting to get a little, touchy-feely.
Yeah,
so, at some point, but I think the problem is once that train comes in the station, you lost,
Yeah, they have to keep that kind of going, the mystery going as long as they can.
They have to keep it docked at the right.
Now, I wanted to circle back a bit, too. Earlier in that session, one of the questions that came up was whether Charlie Sheen was going to be coming in for the Two and a Half Men finale. And it was quite interesting the way Chuck Lorre answered it. First he said, well, we are going to give you a series finale that you're really going to enjoy. Right. Then he came back to the question later and basically was full of praise for Charlie Sheen, talking about how much he brought to the show, et cetera, et cetera. And so now it sort of seems to me, clearly, he's going to be on that finale.
He's going to be on the finale. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't assume they would do a flashback. To me, that's kind of like, that's lame, doing a flashback.
I think there are 3 options, Mark. I think you can get him sort of as a ghost, kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end of the movie where he's all glowing green.
Right.
Oh, or he could be a flashback, as you say, would be lame.
Right.
Or Charlie faked his own death.
Could be.
That could be the one.
Or perhaps John Cryer decides I'm going to take a shower. Goes in the shower, and there's somebody in the shower. The water's going on. It's like Dallas.
And it's Bob Newhart in the shower.
You know, I have to tell you, it's interesting, and it really dawned on me because I've always been going around saying that 2.5 Men is the second longest running a live-action comedy in the history of television. The longest running is, and this is so crazy because nothing ever happened on the show, of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, around 14 years.
Right.
But they mentioned this last night, and it never dawned on me that realistically, this show, 2.5 Men, is the longest running multi-camera sitcom in the history of television.
That's
12 years,
12
live
years.
action. I mean, it tied My Three Sons, but that wasn't live action. But I have to say, to me, the biggest star that I met last night was Jim, the dog, on Mike and Molly. He's incredible.
Check Mark's Twitter feed to see about 8 million photos of Mark with the dog.
I had the best time with that little dog. But so an amazing event, and today we have NBC here.
Yes.
We've been having various sessions on NBC. We have coming up tomorrow, which is Saturday, but we're attending it's Monday.
Right.
Fox is here.
Fox.
Then we have FX.
A whole day of FX.
Then PBS comes. And then we all go home.
That's right.
And then we come back here next July.
In July, we are at the Beverly Hilton once again in the whole.
Right.
We'll do it all over again.
Do it all over again. But it's been a good tour. Before we depart, and I always appreciate having you, anything other than last night, because that's my standout.
Yes.
That's yours also. Anything else stand out for you? Like the one thing that really was like, wow, this is really cool. Because I have my answer.
You know, again, I'm going to go back to Stars had a party for its series, and they had a room full of caviar. I mean, who does that in this day and age where they're trying to bribe critics with caviar?
Caviar.
Caviar and champagne. I thought, you know what, this is very. But you know what, Chris Albrecht knows how to throw a party.
That's right. Well, I have to mention. I mean, and this again was out of the hotel on a set visit. I don't go to all the set visits, so I'm glad I have this time. I thought the Jane the Virgin set visit was a blast.
It really was, and it was very interesting to be there at that particular time. I mean, it was literally the day after she had just won the Golden Globe for Best Comedy Actress. So there was a sense of elation in the cast. Everyone was happy. They were happy to see us, which isn't always the case when we go on set visits.
People liked us.
And it was there was a real sense of joy on that set.
I think so.
That came across.
I think the show, it's the first really big. Not that it's a big hit by the numbers, because it's not, but it's the first, I think, big critical hit on the CW.
I think you may be right, yeah.
So I think Jane, the Virgin, who technically is no longer a virgin, right? Oh, no,
she's
still a virgin.
She's still a virgin. She's... Yeah.
But you know what? The creator of the show did say that when she does ultimately get married,
yes,
and does the deed, you'll see Jane the Virgin, and then you'll have an X over the Virgin.
Yeah, just cross it out. Cross out the word virgin. Yeah,
anyway,
that's a clever way to do that.
We're going to head into the AD session with Mark Burnett.
Mark Burnett and his biblical miniseries based on what happened after Jesus died and rose.
Right.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Well, I thank you as always. And I will be back tomorrow with my final video cast from the press tour. We hope everybody had a great weekend. Technically, we hope they do have a good weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we hope you did, and you do.
And you do. Thank you.
Cover both bases.
See you next time. Thank you, Brent. Take care.